Hey everyone, Mango7Roll here. How we doing today? Welcome to another episode of Epic 7 on this crazy patch day of craziness with all these different things. This is one I am super excited about personally, but a lot of people don't seem to be, which is okay. This character isn't for everybody. We're going to talk about Ervalen or Ervalen today, and maybe see how he might work, what kind of builds you should go, and take a look at his skill set and whether or not you should pull. And obviously as a reminder, we don't know whether or not you should pull until after they're out and we can test them. So keep that in mind, and always take videos like this with a grain of salt, just to get a little bit more juices flowing about a character. Because we all know your juices are flowing for Ervalen. Should I cut that out? Nah. Okay, so let's take a look at Ervalen here. A character I really like the design of. I think the younger Prince style character is always great. Unfortunately, they always end up doing the same thing, which is stab everybody in the back. But maybe some things will kind of rotate a little bit and it'll be exciting. So
do you feel humiliated?
I just love the super happy and then super stabby sort of mechanic.
Tell me what you desire and I will give it to you.
The VA is fantastic as well. I don't know what else he does, Damon Mills. Maybe I should look that up.
And unyielding.
Unquestioning and unyielding. I love that line as well. So we can see his lore here. The son of the previous king Tarman and his concubine, Camellia. Camellia always believed that she would be cast off, and tried to use her son's position in the kingdom to solidify her position. She constantly persevered in crossing into abuse, which a young Schneel saw. Schneel pleaded for the young Ervalen to be rescued, and the princess, who was worried about Camellia and Ervalen usurping Schneel's position, used this opportunity to remove Camellia. After learning, love this sitting animation. After learning that his mother had died in despair, Ervalen vows to extract to revenge on Schneel for revealing blah blah blah, which caused his mother to be cast off. At first, Ervalen's original plan, that's so fast! He found the true weakness of Schneel, that he does not wish for those around him to be harmed. After discovering this fact, Ervalen decided to use this information to get his revenge. Okay, so that gives a little insight. He's not just some little kid who, betrays people, right? Like, he's got some deep backstory that I'd love to shine in, and I like that he's taken it into his own hands. And remember, I don't know how old he is, but he's obviously a younger character considering they talk about his mom and stuff. But I like that, and I think it's kind of warranted how much of a jerk he is. Either way, we'll see. We'll see when we get more information on him, and we will get more story with him. So this is Ervalen. He has 1228 attack, 6300 health, which is pretty high, 113 speed, 473 defense, 23 flipping crit rate, and has a 17% crit chance imprint. I say this every time, but crit chance imprint are the whaliest whale thing ever. They are so massive to characters and gearing and what kind of equipment you can use there. Bonkersly good. So anytime you see a crit chance imprint, it is massive to that character. The one thing I've sad about with his stats, obviously his speed is great, his attack is great, his crit chance is great, but I'm very sad he has somewhat high HP and low defense. His skill set kind of makes you want to have lower HP and high defense, so that's kind of backwards to me, and that's kind of the part I dislike about that. But if we take a look at Heir to the Throne here, this one attacks the enemy with a sword, adopting a counterattacking stance, and grants a berry to the caster for 2 turns. When the enemy's max health is greater than the caster's max health, which is again why we want to have, not want to have lower HP, but we want to have higher defense to mitigate our lower HP. Damage dealt increases proportionate to the difference up to 60%. Barrier strength increases proportionate to the caster's attack. And also the soul burn here is 20 souls and extends the buffs by 1 turn and grants him an extra turn. So there's a lot to talk about with this skill. Specifically, 3-turn counterattack seems pretty insane. Also, giving him an extra turn on a nuke like this also seems insane. Also, 60% increased damage seems bonkers as well. So this has the potential to do a boatload of damage with not the highest DPS stats, which will help you build him much faster. So this is going to be somebody I'm definitely keeping an eye on for their skill 3, especially once we know about multipliers and once we see them in action to see what you need to one-shot somebody with this, because proportionate to the difference might, like, multipliers on multipliers on multipliers add up to a lot. So that's something to really hiccups. Something to really consider when you're looking at a unit like this. Also, his barrier increases proportionate to his attack as well. So really insane skill 3. I love it. The soul burn is amazing. Amazing soul burn, especially since with his soul burn you can run straight into his skill 2, which is Sword of Hatred. This one attacks the enemy repeatedly and grants the caster immunity for 1 turn. And when the caster's max health is greater than blah 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 blah, same thing as skill 3, it increases proportional to the difference up to a maximum of 30%. So that's an extra 30% CR boost to himself after already getting an extra turn. That's really great, and I love this. And it's also enemies max health, it's not their current HP. So if you take somebody down to 10%, you still get the full change depending on their max instead. That's fantastic. Also, this one doesn't need Molagoras if it comes to it, because they're all damage. Obviously, if you're building them as a huge DPS, you kind of want it. But a 2-turn cooldown with immunity on it is pretty insane IMO, especially with a CR boost and damage dealt. Like every second turn you're getting the 30% CR boost. That seems really good. And then on top of that, his skill 1 is one of the better skill 1s I've seen when combined with his skill set. He's got a 35% chance up to 50% decreased defense for 2 turns. The difference between 1 and 2 turns is bonkers. It is a huge difference in the difference of actually getting to kill somebody and them just like taking a turn and nothing happening. Also combined with his counter set already built into his skill set on his skill 3, you can build him with speed or something like that instead, and you get counters proccing that 50% chance to defense break. And if you counter something, defense break them, you're gonna kill them with whatever ability you use after. So I really like this with him. And I think it's fantastic that they gave him a defense break. 50% is a little low, don't get me wrong, but because it's 2 turns and because he has counterattack, I think it's great. And then for his artifact here, really combines with his skill set. It increases his attack, or the attack of the caster, by 10% for every single attack they do. And if you look at his skill set, his skill 1, his skill 2, his skill 3 are all single attacks. So just going skill 3 burn, skill 2 attack, gives some immunity and 20% increased attack on top of that. That's pretty nuts. And he also has a 30% chance to silence the enemy for 1 turn on all of those attacks as well. So that is really good of an artifact as well. I'm not sure how good it will be compared to the alternatives like the Moonlight Dream Blades and stuff like that, but we will see in actuality. But the boost to attack, especially again with his insane base attack, it's going to be massive. So I do really like this artifact, and I think it's going to be really unique to him, especially again considering that he's really fast and he's counterattacking. He does all of the things. So my overall rating on Ervalen so far is pretty high, but it's going to kind of depend on how he can survive. This is something we're not going to know until he comes out, because he doesn't have the bulk that Charles has. He doesn't have evasion. He doesn't have stealth. He doesn't have anything. It's just him here. He has counterattack, so you can build him with a lifesteal, and there is a barrier. But I find barriers to never be enough, you know? Like, if a character ever has a barrier, it's never enough to really survive. So as for how I plan to build him, I'm either going to build him on a really fast lifesteal set or a really fast speed set. And we'll go from there. Probably going to do a crit set as well as a secondary, or perhaps an immunity set. The cool part about this as well is the barrier when combined with a max HP, right? Like you really want to take advantage of the 30% max HP on skill 2 and 60% on his skill 3. So one way to do that is to try to maximize his defense, and he's going to get a lot out of flat defense. So somebody like this with 473 base defense is going to be a unit that can use those stupid pieces of gear that have like attack, crit damage, speed, flat defense, you know? Like somebody like this will be able to use it really exceptionally well, especially since his barrier is based on his attack, and then you make it harder to break through because of the flat defense. So I think he's going to be great. I think with the right gear, he's going to be able to survive as well. I wish he protect himself a little better, but it is what it is. And with some other people around, if somebody gives him like an Aureus or something like that, I think he's going to be fantastic. So obviously this is a character not for everybody. Nobody, I would say in recent releases, he's been the most disliked unit I've ever seen. And I've been one of the only people who like a design like this. So obviously not for everybody. I don't think he's a must pull. I think there's going to be more coming, and I would probably recommend not pulling for him unless you like his character, especially since I feel like he shares a lot of similarities with other characters in terms of element and thief and stuff like that. Like, to me, why would I bring Ervalen over Rylet as an example? Obviously, you have to have Rylet. I'm sure there are reasons, but in actuality, I think there's a lot of alternatives. So Too Long Didn't Watch, even though we're whatever long in, I'm pulling for them. I don't think you should. You can watch my showcase on him. I'll have him at least +9, no imprints, day 1 when he comes out to try out with you. He would be +15, but I need to save those for Luluka, so we will see. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe as always, and I'll talk to you later. Bye, everybody.